evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Andrew.
Hello, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you.
Good, good. Right, let us begin. Dragonfire.
Okay, so it just sounds like Syl when you do that.
A story title sort of for Sylvester McCoy, I
It
think.
is. It's specifically aimed at him, isn't it? So I can roll his R's.
2 hours,
Why
in
do you
fact.
sound like Syl?
What? What, when I do Sylvester?
Yes.
One thing I meant to say, and I didn't, is that season 24 is when I got my first video recorder,
Alright, okay.
which I hired from the shop in Verwood.
Okay.
So I hired it on a, I think it was like £15 a month or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But I was determined to finally get into the video age. So yeah, this was, I had 4 tapes, and you could get 7 episodes on a tape. So you got a 4-part story and a 3-part, and a 4-part and a 3-part.
Okay.
So it worked out rather nicely. But what do you think of Dragonfire then?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It could do with the lights being turned down quite a lot.
Yeah.
But then I suppose that's a byproduct of where it's set, because it's meant to be sort of like somebody described it as like being like bee jams. That dates
Well,
it.
I never quite understand what the sort of city or whatever it is meant to be. 'Cause it's got like a freezer centre, hasn't it?
It has.
But yeah, I don't quite get how the economy of it works. And then you've got Mr. Kane in the form of
Mr. Kane.
Mr. Kane.
I don't think anybody calls him Mr. Kane.
Yeah, right, in the form of Edward Peel in his sort of domain with his zombies.
Yes.
So that's fun. And then you've got because Ace is working in the sort of
She's in like the cafeteria,
cafe
isn't it?
area, isn't it?
Yes.
So I don't quite know how much sort of traffic they get through this place. But yeah, you've got the sort of Star Wars sort of cantina scene, haven't you, with all the puppets and things. I like the little one, the sort of hand puppet one that sort of nips at Sylvester, because apparently he was called Eric.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was a dig at Eric Sayward or not.
Of course it was.
I don't know. But yeah, it's. I think it's a story that sort of evolved through the scripts, because it was something about some child genius or something, and
Alright, yeah.
and at one point it was called like the Pyramid's Treasure or something.
Was it called the Dragon's Treasure at some point as well?
Possibly,
wasn't it?
yeah. And the original character that Glitz sort of replaces was called something like Razorback or something like that.
Okay.
But because he was quite similar to Glitz,
I just said
they said, well, let's have Glitz back. It's easier than inventing a new character. And I quite like the thing that, you've got somebody back from last year.
Yeah.
It's something the show didn't tend to do when you crossed over Doctors.
No.
But you've had both the Rani and Glitz back, and it does make it feel like there are connections with with the Colin Baker years a bit. I quite like the design of the dragon. That's quite well done. As you say, it sort of depends on the lighting how effective it looks.
Yeah.
And then you've got the whole thing about it being set in a world of ice, but only Sylvester McCoy is doing ice acting, isn't he? Because he's slipping and sliding all over the
Did you say,
place.
does Matt Smith do that in a story?
What? Slippy sliding acting? Oh, quite possibly. I
think
can't
it's in the Doctor or something like that, isn't it?
Oh, I honestly can't think. Yeah, the whole idea of the sort of quest for the crystal or whatever it is quite sort of traditional. I mean, the costume design for Kane's interesting with his sort of pointy helmet.
German kind of helmet.
Yeah. But rendered in white, so it makes it sort of slightly unusual. The whole sort of melting face sequence is extremely well done.
Yes.
And I remember did cause a few
complaints,
letters and things like that. I don't think it was too many, but from a technical point of view, it was extremely well achieved. I mean, you compare that to Raiders of the Lost Ark, that does something similar.
That's a bit earlier though, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, yeah, but you know that's a film, and Doctor Who's doing it as just a scene in a story. You know, it's not like, well, yeah, it is the sort of climax of the story. Because there's stories about, like, they had a sort of an inflatable dummy that they tried to do it with, and it sort of ends up with its trousers around its ankles and stuff.
God.
I don't know whether there's any footage of that or not, but it's quite fun.
And all the crew wetting themselves with Arthur, probably.
I mean, this story sort of dabbles with the darker themes that you're going to get next year.
Yes.
But I think it won the season poll in the DWAS. Personally, I do prefer Delta. What about you?
Yeah, I think out of the two of those stories, that Delta is the better one for me.
But I just really appreciate that you've got 3 new writers in a row. Yeah. And, any of them would have been welcome back in my terms. I mean, it takes Nick Briggs a little while.
Nick Briggs?
Nick Briggs? So, oh dear, I'm sorry. Ian Briggs a little while to return. But, yeah, the whole thing that we are now a new team on board really is starting to come together now, I think. And that's great. Music's really good as well, Dominic Glynn. And I have to say that model sequence, where, because it's a bit like a sort of starfish, isn't it? The actual design of the sort of spaceshipy bit. That's rather nice. And one of the real highlights of the McCoy era, I think, is some of the model work, which is really, really well done.
Yes.
They sort of, because a lot of it's to do with Mike Tucker, I think, that he sort of starts to get involved. I can't remember whether he worked on this one or not, but not only have you got sort of, you know, a team of writers that all talk to each other.
Yeah, which helps.
Yeah, on the sort of design and effect side, you've got a bit of a core of returning people as well, which is really good. It's I think, again, it sort of shows that we haven't quite got there yet.
No.
But come back next year and we're going to give you something really good, I think.
That's very special.
So there we go. So there's Dragonfire. Yes. Right. Now, unfortunately, we have to jump over Remembrance of the Daleks, don't we?
Yes. But we might do a commentary on.
Well, we have done
and we've done a reaction video.
We have done a reaction video for, what was it?
Episode 2.
Episode 2. Okay, and you were thinking of doing one for what? Episode 1, maybe?
Yes, possibly.
Part 1.
Part 1.
Yeah. So yeah, that's available. Yeah, so part 2 is available on our channel somewhere. But so let's jump on to the Happiness Patrol. And you know what I forgot to go and get, don't you?
Oh,
I forgot to get the licorice all sorts.
You got the special as well, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, we can have those later. But this does explain why I've got the tilty angle on the camera here, haven't you?
Yes.
Because it's not like the sofa's collapsed.
No. No.
Happiness Patrol features lots of weird camera angles. And in some ways, I don't think it quite goes far enough. Cause,
no, possibly not. Was it not meant to be black and white originally as well?
There was a rumour. I don't know whether it was ever considered that seriously. But yeah, because this is the studio story at the end of the recording block, money is again getting a little tight. So obviously a fair bit of money's gone on the Candyman. But the sets are interesting because they're meant to be sort of a bit on the surface anyway, because the whole point of this sort of world is that everything's a bit sort of saccharine and fake, isn't it? So it's a weird thing to ask a designer to do, especially when they don't have much money left. No. But what do you think of it as a story overall?
I quite like it. I mean, you know, my one thing I don't like in the story.
I do, but people watching at home
which is in episode 3, when the Doctor and Ace and the Pipe People are being chased by Fifi, Helena's dog, through the pipes, and the dog gets killed by the shard of ice. And she, obviously, the idea is that it makes her cry because she's sad. But I don't like it because we had a dog. And I mean, obviously, I'd not lost a dog. At that point, my dog was still alive. But I could identify with the fact that she was sad because her dog had died.
Yeah.
So I really don't like that at all.
Yeah. So when's the last time you rewatched this story?
Probably when we did our rewatch.
Oh, about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I'm like, oh God, they've killed the dog. And I know it's not a nice dog, but it's still a dog, and somebody loved it. So.
But again, episode 1, I'd sort of hold up as being one of my highlights of this season. It's a very strange world you're dropped into, but again, the way it's shot is very interesting, and I really love the sort of execution scene where you've got, is it Town playing the sort of victim? I think it is. I think
so. Yeah.
And the sort of the tube comes down and all the stuff comes on him, and the tube lifts up and all this red liquid gushes out, and it's a very clever way of showing of implying violence without showing it, because red liquid, yes, it's sort of sort of sugar based sort of fluid or something like that, but it's clearly meant to imply blood, isn't it? Yeah. But the whole thing about the Candyman, like pulling all the levers and the big cogs and things going around to make this happen, because I really like the Candyman as a villain. I know some people can't get beyond its appearance and slightly squeaky voice, but I think it's a fantastic bit of imagination. And yes, I know it causes sort of problems from a certain company which isn't too keen, but I think they should have sort of jumped on board with it a bit.
Well, they could have gone for candy sweets.
I think there would have been very interesting possibilities had they sort of embraced it. And I know it's sort of, maybe they should have asked first, but what didn't the costume designer? I think she came from Poland or somewhere. And
is it Dorka?
Nieradzik. I don't even pretend that that's the right pronunciation, but I think she had to sign something to say that she'd never
seen
Bertie Bassett, which I really don't believe. But it got them out of a hole, I think. But what about performances? Let's go through some of them.
Obviously you've got Sheila Hancock. Being very Mrs. Thatcher. Quite obviously so. Andrew Cutmore admits that it is an attack on Mrs. Thatcher.
Yeah, Newsnight only took about sort of 20 years to get around to realising it, but never mind.
And then you've got John Normington in it as well. I mean, he's not he doesn't have a huge role, does he? And Georgina Howe. Leslie Dunlop. Rachel Bell. And they're all great. And again, it's stylised language. But it sort of works as being quite real. There's all this, I'm glad you're happy, I'm happy you're glad, and all this.
But I love the way, who is it? Is it Gilbert M?
Gilbert M. Oh, yeah,
Joseph C.
Yeah, that's Ronald Fraser and I can't remember who the other one is.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Whoever that is.
Yeah. I love the way they run off together into the sunset.
That is so camp.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So camp.
But because I've read a theory that it's Helen A, right, and Joseph C, and the whole thing about is that your rank is
your
the
letter is a rank.
So the higher up the alphabet are you, more important. It does beg the question: who was B?
Yes.
And I have seen it theorised that they had a baby.
Oh, right,
and they lost the baby.
Yeah.
Which is why all her affection is on the dog. You see. And why she's gone a bit strange.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know whether that ever passed.
That is a possibility.
Yeah. It does seem fit, because it really is. It's made very clear that you do think, the whole thing about that letter thing. You do think, well, where's B then?
Where's B? Yeah.
So it's interesting, but it's really the imagination running riot on Doctor Who. As I said, slightly hampered by the lack of budget, because would have been fascinating to see if it had been made a bit early in the production block, whether it had looked any different. I don't know. But and I said episode 1 especially I rewatched quite a lot. So good on them for that.
It's just me being like, as I said before, with the thing about the Master Child, the older I get, the more sentimental I get, and I find it hard. But even when I was at the time, I didn't like that bit.
Okay. Right. So. Okay, and finally for tonight, because we're going to leave some to spill over. Silver Nemesis. Silver Nemesis then, Lisa.
Silver Nemesis.
What do you make of Silver Nemesis? Nothing to do with Miss Marple.
No. I quite like Silver Nemesis.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Lady Painfort is an interesting character. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure why the Nazis are in it. They don't really serve any purpose.
Yeah.
Though it's nice Anton Differing got to see Wimbledon, so, glad for him that he
It's alright, I won't do my impression of Anton Differing.
No, don't do it. No.
Yeah, I remember, I think, was it Warren came round for part 1, and we'd watched, I think, the War Games episode 10 on my new video recorder. Well, it was a year old by then. And there was a switch on the back that you had to switch if you wanted to watch something in black and white. Because if you didn't flick the switch, you got sort of weird colour sort of interference on it, depending on what the tape was. So we'd switch the War Games to black and white, watch the War Games, and then we got a sort of drinky out. I think it was like sort of cheap champagne or something like that. To celebrate 25 years of Doctor Who. And I put the tape in, and we watched Silver Nemesis, and I recorded it. And at the end, I always used to check the recording had worked. And I wound it back, and I watched it, and I went, Warren, what? I've got Silver Nemesis Part 1 in black and white, because I'd forgotten to switch the switch back.
Yes.
So for ages, Silver Nemesis Part 1, I could only watch in black and white. And I can't remember the first time I got it in colour.
Right, probably when the VHS came out.
It might have been. I honestly don't know whether I sort of got hold of a backup copy or what. I really don't know. So to me, Silver Nemesis is partly black and white. So, yeah.
Well, that is fitting for 25 years.
Well, I was going to say, because the trailer for it had clips of the Web Planet in there for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, for 25 years the Doctor's been shuttling through time and space, and there's Hartnell trying to talk to the Zarbi.
Okay.
The Doctor's not getting through to them, said Ian. And why on earth the Web Planet was shown as a clip, I really don't know. It's most strange. But now isn't it that what was it? Teleaddicts was running at this time.
Yeah.
And there is some continuity for it. The end titles of Teleaddicts going into... it's either the trailer for Silver Nemesis or Silver Nemesis itself. And the director credit for Teleaddicts is Nick Hurren.
Oh, right,
Yeah. And at the time, that made no impression on me at all. It's just later you realise, well... In 25 years' time, Nick Hurren directs the 50th anniversary story, so that is really, really weird.
Yes, so everything's linked.
So that's a weird sort of Silver Nemesis-y thing. But I really like the fact we've got a lot of OB. Well, it is entirely OB, isn't it?
I think it is.
I think because there's no TARDIS scenes at all, are there?
No.
Because even Greatest Show in the Galaxy has got a couple of TARDIS scenes.
Yes.
So, out in the nice sunny, well, it's fairly sunny actually, sunny weather.
It's sunny,
There's Sylvester and Sophie sort of traipsing about, whistling, and isn't it Sylvester doing his bird impression at one point? Cause wasn't he doing that at some convention, like behind a potted plant or something?
I think so, yeah.
I sort of come around the corner and I could hear Sylvester going... Sylvester can do that better without spitting all over himself. But so just insert Sylvester's bird impression at this point. Sorry about that. Because the whole thing I think is you said about why is Anton Differing in it. I think it's meant to be like a triangle of baddies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've got the Cybermen, you've got Lady Painfort, and you've got DeFlores and his chums.
But he didn't do much.
No, but the idea is that, Lady Painfort can defeat the Cybermen with the arrow, and the Cybermen could defeat DeFlores with their guns, and DeFlores could defeat Lady Painfort or something. Okay. So it's like sort of balance of power, as that each one could deal with the others, but not the opposite one or something like that.
I suppose if you put it like that, it sort of makes sense. Yeah. And I do like his analogy of we are the Superman, but you are the giants.
Yeah. I must stop trying to. I'm not going to do it.
Don't do the accent. No.
But what about the stuff at the with the Queen then? That's suitably silly, isn't it?
It is silly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it sort of. I don't know. Do you assume that the Doctor could, if he'd actually got onto the Queen, could he have pulled some strings or not?
I don't know. I get from the way he says it, I get the idea, and certainly this idea will be backed up many years later in the Christmas Invasion, that the Doctor knows the Queen. Yeah. And the Queen knows the Doctor quite well. Yeah. It's like the Queen's phoned the Doctor up and says, Doctor, I can't do the accent. There's a problem. Can you come and help? Like Winston Churchill.
And again, ironic that it's Jessica Martin that voices the Queen in Voyage of the Damned. Thank you, Doctor. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Merry Christmas. Yes. Sorry, Jessica. But she'll be along next story.
She will.
So yeah, I certainly I know in some ways you could say it's a similar plot to Remembrance of the Daleks. Yeah. You've got this sort of thing that's the source of power that the sort of the baddies want, and the Doctor uses it against them. So in terms of sort of the way the bits on the board sort of slot into position. But yeah, I quite like the Cybermen in it. Again, it's a 3-part story, and they don't turn up till the end of part 1. No. So really, the Cybermen are effectively in it for two episodes. Yeah.
And they are very weedy Cybermen.
Yeah, I mean the battle sequence is nicely shot. But there's an awful lot of Cybermen falling over within the first 5 minutes of their appearance.
With like one gold coin lodged in their chest.
Yeah. But yeah, the stuff, I think when sort of Ace is up on the gantry, you wouldn't even be able to shoot these days for health and safety reasons.
Well, I'm absolutely amazed that they got away with it, because Sophie says that it was all rusted and looked like it could break off at any minute.
At any minute. So so again, we are sort of talking about we need it done, and let's not ask too many questions. I mean, because again, this story is the subject of the American documentary.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Let's make magic.
Gary Tony, yes, bless. So I'm aware of. There's a knock-on effect from Greatest Show in the Galaxy that stuff does sort of get a bit fraught, I think, in production, sort of at this point, and maybe some of the planning sort of gets a bit squeezed. I don't know, but it looks good enough on screen. I think there's some nice explosions, and I think given that the BBC were not going to give any more money for a special, no way was that ever going to happen. No. I think it's it's fine enough, and you've got again the hints of the Doctor being something more than he makes out. Yes. So that that again is sort of laying sort of foundations for where things are going to go next year again. Yeah. So all in all, not bad at all. No. But we'll talk about Greatest Show in the next video, and depending on whether they show Ghostlight or not, we might do one video or two. I really don't know.
Well, I think we're probably best to do. We'll probably do Greatest Show and Battlefield next time. Yeah. And then it depends what Twitch show on Monday as to what's in the last video.
Well, we'll leave you on a cliffhanger.
It might be 2 stories, or it might be 3.
Oh well. I'm glad you're happy.
I'm happy you're glad.
Bye-bye.
Bye.